folder, letak dalam satu folder. Announcing the arrival of Honorable Dr. Muhammad Daud Bakar, President of IIUM, and other guests of honor. Please rise. VIPs and all guests, please remain standing for the national anthem Negaraku, followed by the university song leading the way.
Let's lead the way, enlighten the future, share the wisdom to the spirit of Islam. Revelation and reason, we shall excel, we shall prevail. Merging faith and knowledge, we the Khalifa, we will fulfill the Amanah. Together, we make the world a better place. Forever, expand the culture of Iqra. IIUM is to realize the meaning of Ramadan al-Amin. Together, we make the world a better place. Forever, expand the culture of Iqra. IIUM is to realize the meaning of mercy to all worlds, for all mankind.
Thank you. Please be seated. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin wassalatu wassalamu ala asyrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'in. Praise be to Allah, the cherisher of and sustainer of the world, and blessings be on our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his family and his companions. Honorable Dr. Muhammad Daud Bakar, President of International Islamic University Malaysia, Professor Dr. Isarji Haji Sarudin, Deputy Rector, Academic and Industrial Linkages, representing the Honorable Rector of IIUM, Professor Dr. Ashraf Muhammad Hashim, CEO, ISRA International Consulting, Associate Professor Dr. Salina Haji Kasim, Dean, IIUM Institute of Islamic Banking and Finance, IIBF, Associate Professor Dr. Romzi Rosman, Flagship Project Leader and Director, ISFO 2020, Haja Sarifah Abdullah, IIUM Chief Librarian, respected University Management Committee members, honorable CEOs, deans, directors, senior officials, staff and students, brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh, and a very good morning. أهلا وسهلا ومرحبا بكم إلى مكتبة دار الحكمة بجامعة الإسلامية العالمية بماليزيا حديقة العلم والفضيلة. On behalf of the organizing committee, we would like to extend a very warm welcome to all to this auspicious event, Islamic Social Finance Outreach Program ISFO 2020. ISFO is jointly organized by IIUM Institute of Islamic Banking and Finance, Darul Hikmah Library IIUM, and International Sharia Research Academy for Islamic Finance ISRA, with the team leading the way in Islamic social finance. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, before we go further, in order to invoke the blessing of the Almighty Allah, together we raise our hand, let us make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the barakah of the event. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil anbiya wal mursaleen. وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. اللهم إنا نسألك العافية من كل بلية ونسألك تمام الغنى عن الناس. اللهم حبب إلينا الإيمان وزينه في قلوبنا وكره إلينا الفسوق والعصيان واجعلنا من الراشدين. Ya Allah, ya Tuhan kami mohon kepadamu agar dipermudahkan perjalanan majlis kami pada hari ini. Jadikanlah ia sebagai amalan salih yang diterima serta tanda kesyukuran terhadap nikmat-Mu yang tidak terhingga serta rahmat-Mu yang tiada sempadan. Ya Allah, berikanlah kami kekuatan dalam memperkukuhkan rangka kerja akademik, khususnya penyelidikan yang telah sedang dan yang bakal kami depani. Perkukuhkanlah hubungan di antara institusi yang ditubuhkan demi kepentingan ummah di tanah air kami ini, agar dapat kami bina kecemerlangan ilmu, khususnya dalam kerangka memperkasakan ekonomi umat Islam secara keseluruhannya. O Allah, cleanse our heart of the sickness of arrogance and pride, and let us die as one of the sincere, humble Muslims. O Allah, lead us towards the unity of the entire Ummah, and give us leaders who lead this nation to virtue. Almighty Allah, God of infinite bounties, bless us and all the Muslims with good health and prosperity. Guide and make us strong to lead the Islamic banking and finance institutions with the sacred of Islamic education for the entire Ummah. Grace and guide us to your righteous path and shower us with your divine mercy. نعوذ بكلمات الله التامات من شر ما خلق. بسم الله الذي لا يضر مع اسمه شيء في الأرض ولا في السماء وهو السميع العليم. اللهم ادفع عنا الوباء والغلاء والربا والزنا والمحن وسوء الفتن ما ظهر منها وما بطن عن بلدنا هذا خاصة وعن سائر بلاد المسلمين عامة يا رب العالمين. اللهم أنت الله لا إله إلا أنت الغني ونحن الفقراء. نعوذ بك من زوال نعمتك وتحول عافيتك وفجعة نقمتك وجميع سخطك. اللهم اجعل جمعنا هذا جمعا مرحوفا وتفرقنا من بعده تفرقا معصوما. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Amin ya Rabbil Alameen. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, to kick off our auspicious event, I would like now to invite Yang Berbahagia Associate Professor Dr. Salina Haji Kasim, Dean IIBF, to deliver her welcoming speech. Please welcome.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillah, all praises are due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for giving us the opportunity to gather here today. for the Islamic Social Finance Outreach, or ISFO 2020. On behalf of the IIUM Institute of Islamic Banking and Finance, I would like to welcome all of you to the International Islamic University Malaysia, the Garden of Knowledge and Virtue. Alhamdulillah, we feel overwhelmed to see such a great support for our event today. Thank you all for coming. In particular, I would like to express our gratitude to the IIUM President, Dr. Muhammad Daud Bakar, who has been very supportive of many of our events and activities. Thank you, Dato'. Prof. Dr. Isarji Haji Sarudin, the Deputy Rector, Academic and Industrial Linkages, IIUM, Deans, top officials of the IIUM, in particular, Dato' Zailan, thank you for being here, for your support, Dato'. Our collaborators from ISRA, Prof. Dr. Ashraf, from Darul Hikmah Library, Madam Sharifah, the Chief Librarian. Our distinguished guests from Arba Foundation, Tuan Azlan Shah, from Yayasan Kasih Prihatin, Puan Azlinda, Puan Nur Akmal from Pertubuhan Kebajikan Ar-Riqab, and Puan Zurina from Pertubuhan Kebajikan Raudatul Jannah. Also welcome to all invited speakers, the IIUM community, and all of you. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, the ISFO 2020 is organized in support of the IIUM Takrim Month celebration, and it is in line with the IIBF flagship project on Islamic social finance for the B40 community. Through this event, we aim to provide a platform for relevant stakeholders in Islamic finance to have in-depth discussion and exchange views on important issues pertaining to Islamic social finance, particularly for the B40 community. Consequently, several programs have been specifically arranged during this two-day event, including talks, forum, launching of ISRA Corner, roundtable discussion RTD, and academic paper presentations. Additionally, there will also be initiation of outreach activities with several NGOs involving the B40 community, signifying that we are ready to go to the field and do whatever that we can do to implement Islamic social finance for the specific groups of the B40 community. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, the term social finance have been defined in various ways. In essence, it is an approach to address or to solve societal issues through innovative approaches beyond traditional financing methods. These include socially responsible investment, microfinance, community investments, etc., aiming at achieving social or environmental impact. Islamic social finance therefore refers to modes of finance that are rooted in Islamic ethics and intended to achieve social benefits, or we can call it Islamic finance for social good, which include instruments like zakat, wakaf, sadaqah, as well as qard hasan. The challenge for us in the Islamic finance industry is how to develop and implement these instruments within the context and realities of a commercially driven Islamic banking industry. Therefore, the ISFO 2020 will provide a platform to deliberate on these matters. Before I end my welcoming remarks, I would like to take this opportunity to thank all who have contributed in making this program a success. Special thanks to our collaborators, ISRA and Darul Hikmah Library IIUM. It has been a fruitful collaboration and we look forward to working together again in the future. Thank you to our sponsors, Yayasan Kebajikan Negara and Bank Rakyat. I would also like to congratulate my team at the IIBF, especially the Director of ISFO, Dr. Romzi. Thank you so much. And the academic and administrative staff at IIBF for their hard work, cooperation and dedication in making this program a success. Also, not to forget the IIBF Student Society. Thank you for your support. Together, we are the best. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide us and reward us in all our endeavors. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. Thank you.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Dr. Salina, for the remarks. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, let's move to our next agenda. I would like to respectfully invite Yang Berbahagia Professor Dr. Isarji Haji Sarudin, Deputy Rector Academic and Industrial Linkages, IIUM, representing the Honorable Rector of IIUM, to deliver his opening speech.
Thank you, Master Ceremony. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin. Salatu wassalamu ala ashrafil anbiya mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. In the name of Allah, the most compassionate, the most merciful, all praises and thanks be to Allah. May the peace and blessings of Allah be upon Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his family and his companions. Yang berbahagia Datuk Dr. Muhammad Daud Bakar, President of the International Islamic University of Malaysia, the members of IIUM Management Committee, Associate Professor Dr. Salina Haji Kasim, Dean of Institute of Islamic Banking and Finance, IIUM, respected deans and directors, the organizers of Islamic Social Finance Outreach Program 2020, particularly IIUM Institute of Islamic Banking and Finance, Darul Hikmah Library, and our collaborators, the International Sharia Research Academy for Islamic Finance, ISRA, our respected sponsors, Bank Rakyat and Yayasan Kebajikan Negara, distinguished guests and colleagues from various universities, industry experts, NGOs, students, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. It gives me great pleasure to be among the first to welcome you to the Islamic Social Finance Outreach Program 2020, organized by the Institute of Islamic Banking and Finance and the Library, in collaboration with International Sharia Research Academy for Islamic Finance. As mentioned by our Dean just now, this is an event, part of the event of the Takrim monthly, IIM Takrim Month 2020, which will be launched in, celebrated by the end of this March. I can see that we have many friends and colleagues here. I know for sure is we have Prof. Ashraf. We used to work together. We used to work on this Al-Bukhari project, yeah? Travel to the Philippines, Sri Lanka, Kosovo, Bosnia, Croatia, and what have you, to work with Al-Bukhari. So thank you, Dr. Ashraf, for still remembering our alma mater and contributing to our effort here. IIM today is moving towards its second phase of its transformation plan, and based on the concentric circle of IIM's triple ICE, we have the triple ICE here, Malaysia's Falsafah Pendidikan Kebangsaan, FPK, Maqasid Al-Syariah, and also the Sustainable Development Goals, or for IIM's ISDGs, the Islamic Sustainable Development Goals. And I'm delighted that today's Islamic Social Finance Outreach Program is embracing SDGs with its huge potential, enhancing the Islamic economic ecosystem in order to benefit the society. And it is certainly, without doubt, that Islamic finance has moved to a full circle where social needs and welfare are very meaningful to a loving, caring, and responsible society. And with the infusion of ethical values in Islamic financial system, institutions, products, instruments, and practices. We understand the importance of Islamic social finance in contributing to the SDGs. Thus, IIBF organizes this ISFO 2020, knowing very well that it is an integral component of its flagship of Islamic social finance literacy and social entrepreneurship for B40 community. In fact, when we talk about B40, it's no longer B40. Datuk mentioned just now that the oil dropped by what, 30%, 40%, 50%. And on the average, if you look at the students' population of Malaysian universities, about 50% of the students' population on the average, B40. Now, I think it's about 60 something based on the economic situation. And if you talk about students who are in need, it's more than that. B40 is a cliche, it's a term used for a certain level of students, but there are more students who are in need of our help beyond the B40, even the middle class students with a lot of issues that they are dealing with right now. So distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, as far as IBF is concerned, it has numerous collaborations on these B40 community engagement programs, which involves the participation of postgraduate students. For these programs, and based on experiential learning approach, students to really benefit by addressing real socioeconomic situations. And some of the programs, these are the programs that they have done before, and they are going to continue with that. Program Motivasi from Zero to Hero Golongan Khas Gelandangan with Jabatan Tenaga Kerja at Agrotech Garden Resort Hululangan. Program with Badan Amal Darul Mustafa Pahang. Program with Pertubuhan Kebajikan dan Pendidikan Raudatul Nurjana. Dan program with Agensi Counseling dan Pengurusan Kredit AKPK for B40 community, and so on and so forth. Allah says in Juzuf 49 verse 10, the believers are but a single brotherhood. This is a great strength in unity. A person can easily break a single thread, but if many threads are woven in a rope, even the strongest man cannot break it. When we work as a team, we are like a mass of woven threads, and our enemies can never defeat us. Such examples can be obtained from the life of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. When he preached Islam, all his companions were united and had a single aim which led to victory in all the battles. And Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam once said, the Muslims are like the bricks of a single building, and each one gives support to the other. And I'm confident that it is important for ISFO to garner individuals and corporations who have contributed and will continue to contribute to the Islamic social finance in realizing our sustainable development goals and also realizing our flagship initiative, in particular goal number 1 of no poverty, goal number 2 of no hunger, goal number 3 of quality education, goal number 10, reduce inequalities, and goal number 17, this is where we are, partnerships. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, this program will consist of talk, forum, roundtable discussion, and signing of MOU with organizations and institutions involved in propagating Islamic social finance, not to forget social entrepreneurships. It is certainly refreshing to address this program organized by IBF, which promotes the innovative spirit of cooperation and collaboration through intellectual roundtable discussion by sharing cross-cultural and international research and industry experience of Waqaf, particularly issues and challenges in Islamic social finance, as well as talks on career opportunities in Islamic banking and finance. I hope that this program inspires ideas and intellectual discussions so that we can lead the way in Islamic social finance, as the country has accomplished much in Islamic banking and finance. Currently, for your information, IIUM has 29 flagship programs, and one of them is Islamic Social Finance Outreach Program. Each flagship adopts the statuple helix model. We have quintuple 4, we have quintuple 5, we have sextuple 7 helix models. That is transdisciplinary collaborations with 7 entities, namely the academia, the government, the industry, the community, the NGOs, the environment, and the international networks. This statuple helix model is applicable to the flagship of Islamic Social Finance Outreach Program. Thus, our collaboration should be beyond community engagement programs, beyond industrial linkages, beyond student internship. Our collaborations based on the statuple helix models will definitely provide a rich environment for our students and staff to grow, share, and enhance Islamic social finance itself. As an example of an international collaboration, and in the effort to support talent development in the rapidly expanding Islamic banking and finance industry, IIBF has taken an impressive initiative with Noor Bank of UAE last year with the launching of Noor Endowment in Islamic Banking and Finance amounting to 2.5 million UAE dirhams by Noor Bank under the IIUM Endowment Fund. We do hope that in 5 years' time, we will be able to come up with our own Waqaf system and program to help pay tuition fees, not only for our B40 students, but any students who are in need. Talking about the Waqaf system and the industry, we have supported, we have promoted We have developed and have been working together the Islamic banking and finance industry for so many years. I believe since the establishment of IIUM 35 years ago, we have gone a long way in helping the industry. So this is an opportune time for scholars and industry partners in helping in Islamic banking and finance to move to the next level of our initiative in terms of using our knowledge, our expertise, and our experience to help the needy students, to help the needy community, and to help whoever is in need. I hope this noble objective will be achieved sooner than later. Finally, I would like to congratulate the IBF for organizing an important program at an opportune time. I'm confident that this program will provide boundless opportunities for all participants to share their knowledge, expertise, and experience. And I'm confident that this program will serve as a platform for discussion, debate, exchange of ideas, the effort to promote and enhance the noble idea of Islamic social finance outreach program. This is in an area that we continue to need more systematic and rigorous research to benefit mankind in line with the university's vision and mission. We pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless our efforts and aspirations with successful life and the life after, and to accept this from all of us as an act of ibadah and reward us with the highest place in paradise. Thank you. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much, Professor Dr. Isarji, for the opening speech. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, now we have come to the most awaited agenda of today's event. Without further ado, I would like now to call upon Honorable Dr. Muhammad Daud Bakar, President of IIUM, to deliver his keynote speech. Please welcome.
No. It's a DIY. Okay. Okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah. وبه نستعين على أمور الدنيا والدين والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله المبعوث رحمة للعالمين أما بعد. Yang berbahagia or respected Professor Dr. Isarji Haji Saruddin, Deputy Rector Academic and Industrial Linkages, IIUM Management Committee in particular, yang berbahagia Datuk Zailan, Dean of IIUM Institute of Banking and Finance, Associate Professor Dr. Salina Haji Kasim, and not to mention Professor Dr. Ashraf, my old friend, who is now heading the International ISRA Consulting of International Sharia Research Academy for Islamic Finance ISRA, organizers of Islamic Social Finance flagship, they call it IFSO to 2020, IIUM Institute of Banking and Finance, Dar Al-Hikmah Library, and collaborator International Sharia Research Academy for Islamic Finance, our generous sponsors, Bank Rakyat and Yayasan Kebajikan Negara, our honorable guests, academics from various universities, industries, experts, NGOs, and our beloved students of IIUM and other universities. Welcome to IIUM International Islamic University Malaysia, Garden of Knowledge and Virtue. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good morning. I'm both honored and humbled for this kind invitation to say a few words and to officiate the Islamic Social Finance Outreach Program ISFO 2020. ISFO 2020 is one of the flagship initiatives by IIUM Institute of Banking and Finance. The program is jointly organized with Darul Al-Hikmah Library, IIUM, and also International Sharia Research Academy for Islamic Finance, ISRO. Alhamdulillah, by organizing this program, IIUM will be the platform for academics, industries, non-governmental organizations, NGOs, and public at large to explore the opportunities to contribute in Islamic social finance, particularly to improve the socio-economic well-being of B40 community, especially those who are considered living in poverty. It will be our focus for this two-day program. From my own perspective, working in isolation is over by now. The more we learn to collaborate, the more human we'll be. After all, the Quran was revealed from day one in collective mood, in collective communication or address, al-khitab al-jama'i. So there's no other option but to learn every single day, to connect, to collaborate, to leverage, and to make our activities interlinked and interconnected to have a bigger impact on the society. Thank you for all the collaborators, and thank you for all the sponsors for making this event a success. In order to understand and know those who are considered living in poverty, we need to measure the poverty level in Malaysia. In particular, of course, it does not stop you from looking into other variables beyond Malaysia. Using either number one, poverty line income, PLI, or multi-dimensional poverty index, MPI, the poverty line income is used to measure the absolute poverty, which is based on a household's basic requirement to live healthily and actively. Malaysia currently uses the poverty line income, PLI, level of 980 ringgit nationally, and at a higher level of ringgit Malaysia, 1,020 ringgit for Sarawak, and ringgit Malaysia 1,180 for Sabah, of course taking into account other additional costs such as transportation costs. However, the measurement may need to be improved based on other contributing factors that influence poverty. In my own view as well, poverty is a living organism. It has not been static, it moves as the virus moves. It is a living organism, and we have to deal with anything which is living organism with a mind of openness, mind of curiosity mind, and the mind that can unlock the solution, because Sharia does not provide one solution to all the problem. Sharia is always about providing more than one solution, even for one single problem. This is because there are a few arguments in measuring the poverty level made by the academics and other experts for better measurement. Hence, the university also needs to be the platform for big data analysis in measuring poverty to develop a sustainable model in providing useful information that can improve the government policies. The data can be quantitative and qualitative in nature. The data also is a living organism. It reflects the very essence, the very quality, the very mindset, the very essence of our community at any point in time. So the data has been very much part and parcel of Islam, and the Quran is always data-centric. So the moment we neglect the data, we're going to neglect the Sharia and the quality of life in this world. For example, by having the quantitative data on poverty, which is the easiest thing to do, we can monitor those who are in needs, the asnaf and others, or perhaps the would-be and the potential poor and needy in the society. We can predict them before they become poor and the needy in the future. So the ability to predict is the best thing that we can do using the big data analytics. So by having the data, as for the qualitative data, we can understand their issues and challenges. We need to understand the attitude, the profiling of not only the the needy and the poor in the society, but the whole value chain that leading to poverty. And not to mention the agent of transformation. We need to study the profile of those who claim to be the NGOs. Are they well equipped to be the agent of transformation? So we need to create a new system not only to deal with the beneficiaries, but also the delivery channel. And that will start with the social agent in the society. I have done some research. Some of them, or most of them, half of them are not qualified to be in this area. So we need to also measure the effectiveness of NGOs. This is a very interesting topic that we need to discuss. We need to be open. We need to be frank and objective about putting the solution for poverty. By having the data, we can also provide non-financial support, such as training for entrepreneurship, skill, and many more to improve their well-being. Hence, we can support the B40 community in improving their socio-economic well-being, which include the education, health, and financial literacy. In short, we need to not only to diagnose the problem on the ground, but more importantly, which is missing at the moment, to be able to predict and to prescribe what would be the right solution, the right prescription to overcome the poverty and the poverty line and the poverty ecosystem once and for all. Inshallah, it is expected that this program will integrate the experts and those who voluntarily become the caretaker of this P40 community, especially the NGOs that can provide inputs and discussion during this program. At the end of the day, it will be remarkable if a model can be developed. I repeat, it will be remarkable if a model can be developed to find the sustainable solution on the issues, or perhaps on some of the issues. My small footnote, however, if I can say, a model will be nice and great. However, if we can unlock the right and contextual assumption to start off relating to the theory, relating to the very issue of poverty, this will be something to celebrate. We need to put all the assumption. We need to challenge our own assumption. We need to rediscover the very theory of poverty and social justice and the equal opportunities. Are we talking about equality of income or equality of opportunities? And this is something we have to put all the assumptions together rather than trying to take one assumption and celebrate that assumption forever. The more variety of opinion we have, the better to address the issue, which is living in nature. It is living organism in the society. Distinguished guests, friends, brothers and sisters, IIUM embraces Islamization, as Professor Dr. Isarji has mentioned just now, as an education process which reaffirms truth and right belief to promote humility in man as a servant, Abdun or Ibad, and vicegerent Khalifa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as well as to do good and avoid evil in serving the community and engaging with the environment. If I may stop and ponder on the nomenclature and reason that of Khalifa to share some of my insights. We either overlook the very meaning of Khalifa or we overemphasize the very meaning of Khalifa. Khalifa basically means we are the appointed agent of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make the revelation working on the ground. The vicegerent means we are in full control to put all the formulas, all the maxims, all the great theories to work on this world, not in the hereafter. The Quran was not revealed to live in the hereafter. The Quran was not revealed, or the revelation was not revealed to build the life in the hereafter. Over there, we are no longer vicegerent of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Over there, we are the guests of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. No need to talk about building the right infrastructure, the hospital, the right health environment, the school, the poverty eradication, no more relevant in the hereafter. That's why we need to shift our perspective. On this planet, we are the vicegerent to make the revelation work on the ground and not to work and to build a life in the hereafter. The hereafter is very passive mood of life. But here is very interactive, very human, and very, I would say, very challenging from day to another. And for that matter, it's not that easy to become the vicegerent of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to put everything in the whole perspective. Today, as we speak, Islamic finance is embracing Sustainable Development Goal, SDGs, which are to be aligned with value-based intermediation, VBI, and socially responsible financing, or SRI, to some extent. It is hoped that Islamic finance can lead the financial system to provide support to fulfill Maqasid al-Sharia and SDGs, especially on SDG 1, i.e. to end poverty in all forms by promoting Islamic social finance platform such as zakat, wakaf, qard, and takaful, among others. In terms of Islamic finance and Islamic social finance, I would like to quote from one of my earliest books that I have written. I quote, Sharia mind Islamic finance. There are various Sharia mind in the industry, and many more will emerge. As long as these minds are well articulated and imbued with high quality of substance, the Islamic finance industry will be the greatest beneficiary. End of quote. Now it is time not only to articulate the Sharia mind, but to articulate the use of technology, to explain the difficulties and challenges from the perspective of B40 themselves, and to understand the hard work made by the NGOs that become their guardian and caretakers. This is important, as I have shared in my presentation on socio-economic Islam menjulang kemuliaan ummah, or the role of Islamic social economy to uplift the quality of the ummah in Ipoh recently, or perhaps last week. I have highlighted on how we need to create wealth, and later this wealth can be shared with the ummah. I think we need to be honest and to be open with everyone. We need to move away from distributive theory of Islamic social finance to productive theory of Islamic social finance, or at least a quasi-productive theory of Islamic social finance. I have observed in many seminars and conferences for the last 30 years or more, we tend to discuss about distribution of wealth, which is the easiest thing to do. When we have the wealth, we can distribute the wealth. The problem, how to create more wealth in the society. This is the missing point in our society. Look into the zakat, balance sheet in all the states in Malaysia. We take out the item of zakat pendapatan, zakat on earning, is that right? Al-Mustafad, zakat on Al-Mustafad in Arabic term. Half of the balance sheet is gone. Meaning to say, the wealth in our Muslim community is not that strong enough, the share, the stock, the financial assets compared to the salaries and earning of poor people again who are working in the salaried sector. Salaried sector is not really the wealth of the community and the nation. So this is again, we have to reflect, and that's why I wanted to urge everyone to speak less about distributive theory of Islamic social finance. We become excited, we should be excited, but this is nothing to do with the new creation of wealth. The more we talk about zakat and wakaf and whatever, qard and takaful, the more we become unproductive. So we need to shift our attention to talk about how can we create new wealth of Islamic social finance, and stop or not stop, reduce talking about zakat, who are the beneficiary, what is the impact, how do we measure the impact measurement of asnaf, which is good, continue doing that, but reduce the dosage and the credit hours in talking about the distributive theory of Islamic social finance. It's good to move to talk about how to create more wealth. وَأَنْفِقُوا مِنْ طَيِّبَاتِ مَا كَسَبْتُمْ. We talk about infaq, we forgot about ma kasabtum, the wealth that we have created in the society, or we have earned in the society. We need to create job opportunities. Now the discussion comes. By providing own business, become entrepreneur, and this is where the ecosystem of wealth creation and wealth transfer should be made. We can see here the NGOs who help the B40 community are self-sufficient by having their own business to support the socio-economic well-being of the community that they are taking care of. Many of the NGOs, they come at the end of the journey to help the poor people to be on their feet by providing sufficient support, training, emotional intelligence, plus some capital. But this is toward the end of the day and not in the beginning of the journey to eradicate and to create more job opportunities among the B40s and perhaps the lowest M40. Inshallah, we need to develop the sustainable model to support the socio-economic ecosystem, and finally will improve the socio-economic well-being of the B40 community. Ultimately, the B40 can be transformed to M40 and then become T20. Before I end my speech, I would like to share with you my own personal experience in working on Islamic social finance for many, many years, if not decades. I can briefly outline the issues and we can go to the discussion in the next session later on. First, I think we tend to talk about the past and the legacy. In our discussion, we tend to quote and cite and be a bit excited about the past and the legacy, as if the past can come back and help us to chart our future. The past and the legacy cannot help us to move to the future. We need to create our own future, and we have to reduce and our focus, our mindset, and to leverage very much on the past and the legacy. Second, we are always adamant that Islamic social finance belong to a thawabit, something which is fixed and not or does not belong to al-mutaghayyirat, which is something changeable and variable in the society. The jurisprudence of social finance is deemed to be part of the fixed theory of fiqh or Islamic law. Whereas in Islamic law in the past, in the legacy, when it comes to Islamic social finance, the fiqh, the jurisprudence of social finance has become very flexible, and you can break the law if you like. You can guarantee the mudarabah, you can guarantee the waqaf, you can guarantee this for the sake of B40, to some extent, the orphan, the underprivileged in the society. So we can make the fiqh more flexible in ensuring the safety of the wealth of the underprivileged in the society. Third, we like to talk about distribution of zakat, waqaf, and sadaqah, and we talk less about creating more zakatable asset, more waqafable asset, more waqafable channel of doing waqaf in the society. Fourth, we are short-sighted, focusing on short-term, neglecting the medium and long-term, and to make our social finance sustainable. We were hoping to raise about $20 million to help our brothers and sisters in Syria to train the volunteers to be the nurses to help the mothers to deliver their baby away from the hospital in Syria in the last how many years. And we need to put the van together to train people, again training, and to send them to Syria. And we got some commitment from one or two rich family in Malaysia who have been very committed. They have multi-million ready to deploy. But they have asked us valid question, which I cannot answer myself. And they were saying to us, the team, if I were to put 10 million to you to buy all the equipment, to train people, and to send over to Syria, what would happen to my machine and van and equipment if the war stopped tomorrow? It means that my reward will stop as well. As simple as. So they wanted to know how do we plan for the future, so to make their contribution sustainable forever, and not just to focus on the issue of short-term issues in Syria. So they need from us what would be the project after the war, and what not after that. So this is something you have to. It's a good lesson for me, hard lesson I have to say. We need to prepare for the future as well. The fifth, last but not least, I think we don't innovate. We try to linger around the same circle of knowledge. In the Quran, Allah has said, وَمَا عَلَى الْمُحْسِنِينَ مِنْ سَبِيلٍ. There's no restriction for you when doing good thing for the society. Meaning to say we need to be creative enough. There's no blame on those who are doing goods. We can break the law, quote and unquote. Okay? We can change the variable. I was talking about Waqaf al-Khadamat, to create the Waqaf on services. But many of the audience in my presentation, they understand Waqaf of al-Khadamat, that is to give your services as Waqaf, which is not the whole idea that I'm bringing to them. I'm saying that we can convert the cash that you have into in the form of scholarship to the student, in the form of salaries paid to the researchers and the lecturers. This is Waqaf al-Khadamat that we are talking about, and not simply giving your work and services as Waqaf, because the mindset is not willing to change from the very physical definition of Waqaf to become a very illiquid type of Waqaf in terms of scholarship and salaries for the lecturers. Finally, I would like to express my appreciation and gratitude to the respected delegates and guests for coming to ISFO 2020 here at IIUM. I feel humble and proud to be with all of you. May Allah continue to guide us to work hard towards the betterment of the Muslim Ummah. I would like to end the speech by quoting a very interesting quote by AGP Abdul Kalam, the former president of India. Of course, India has launched their satellite to the space to monitor the movement of Mars, and there were many scientists of the world belittle their effort by saying, how can India launch the satellite to space? In fact, as we speak nowadays, 2013, the entire community is using their satellite to monitor the movement of Mars, so they were doing very well. And in response to the comment by the entire world about the technology of India, he has said, and I quote him, "Dream is not a thing that you see in sleep. It is a thing that does not let you to sleep." In order to become the champion of Islamic social finance, we need to internalize. We need to think deeper. We need to be honest to ourselves, and we need to see the whole value chain of Islamic social finance to provide the right solution and the contextual solution and the impactful solution. Thank you all for being with us in the ISFO 2020. We hope we can make your presence enjoyable, entertaining, and impactful. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Datuk, for the remarkable speech. We request Datuk to remain standing for our next agenda. Now I would like to invite Associate Professor Dr. Salina Haji Kasim and Associate Professor Dr. Ramzi Rosman to accompany Honorable President of IIUM on the stage. Ladies and gentlemen, with the recitation of Bismillah, Honorable Datuk Dr. Daud Bakar, President of IIUM, will now touch the iPad as a gimmick of the launching of ISFO 2020.
Should we redo? Last 1 year. Ya, jadi
Ladies and gentlemen, let's proceed. Lagi. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, let's move to our next agenda. And with great pleasure, I would like to invite Professor Dr. Isarji Haji Sarudin to the stage to accompany Honorable President of IIUM for the exchange of gift with our NGO's partner. This is to signify the intention to collaborate between IIBF and these NGOs as part of IIBF flagship. Let's start with the invitation of Yang Berbahagia Tuan Azlan Shah Nabis Khan, the CEO of Arba Foundation, to receive a token of appreciation from the Honorable Datuk Dr. Daud Bakar. And as exchange, now Tuan Azlan Shah will present a gift to the Honorable President of IIUM. Thank you. Next, I would like to invite Madam Nur Akma binti Ali, Chairman of Pertubuhan Kebajikan Al-Riqab, Kuala Lumpur, to receive a gift from Honorable President. Madam Akma also will present a gift to the Honorable President.
It's good to be president.
Last but not least, it is my pleasure to invite the founder of Pertubuhan Kebajikan dan Pendidikan Raudatul Nur Jannah, Madam Zurina binti Zainuddin, for the exchange of gift with Honorable Datuk Dr. Daud Bakar.
From the children living in the transit home.
May I invite once again the NGO's partner to be with our VIP for the photo session. Thank you, our NGO's partner. But once again, I would like to request our VIPs to remain standing. Ladies and gentlemen, I now invite Yang Berbahagia Associate Professor Dr. Salina Haji Kasim, Dean IIBF, to present a token of appreciation to the Honorable Dr. Daud Bakar, President of IIUM.
You know what? Normally I will give this fruit to my driver. Sure, finally.
Next, please welcome Professor Dr. Isarji Haji Sarudin, Deputy Rector, Academic and Industrial Linkages, representing the Honorable Rector of IIUM, to receive token of appreciation from Dr. Salina.
This one for my office.
Thank you, Dato. Thank you, Prof. Isarji. And now Dr. Salina will accompany our VIPs and other distinguished guests for a refreshment. Straight away, we will take a short break. We really seek your cooperation. In about 15 minutes after refreshment, I invite all guests to come back into this hall as we will proceed for the next agenda, which is Forum on Islamic Social Finance for B40 community. Thank you very much. Please come back after the refreshment. Testing, 1, 2, 3. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Without further delay, we would like to proceed for our next session, Forum on Islamic Social Finance for B40 Community. To be with us as the panelists yang berbahagia, Datuk Dr. Muhammad Daud Bakar, IIUM President, Professor Dr. Ashraf Muhammad Hashim, CEO ISRA Consultancy Sindiran Berhad, Mr. Azlan Shah Nabiz Khan, CEO Arba Foundation, and yang berbahagia Datin Paduka Cik Asma Ibrahim, CEO Yayasan Kebajikan Negara. With that, ladies and gentlemen, I pass the session to the moderator, Professor Dr. Rusni Hassan, Deputy Dean Academic and Industrial Linkages, IIUM Institute of Islamic Banking and Finance, to lead the forum. Please welcome.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. Thank you very much, MC. Thank you very much for everyone. We have a very limited in terms of time because I'm instructed to stop our session by 12 o'clock for another event upstairs for launching of Isra Corner. So I would like to basically, explain briefly on how the session we are going to do today. We are going to give every, panelist the one round of question, okay? And we are going to open up for Q&A. It's going to be very limited because I believe that we are giving I think that is better in terms of giving the impact of what the input that we are getting today. And then afterward, we are going to wrap up the session, inshallah. Okay? So without further ado, I'm going to go very brief and fast here without giving, I would say, lengthy, introduction and whatnot. Datuk Daud is known figure, and I believe Prof. Ashraf is with us, okay, and that's as well as Encik Azlan, okay, and Datin Paduka, okay. So I'm not going, apologize, I'm not going to read their profile, okay, but rather than we focus on the content, okay. So I'm going to start with the first question, okay, to Datuk Daud to set the tone basically on this discussion, our discussion today. Now, the topic that we are discussing today is social finance. Now, we know Datuk is leader Islamic finance, global leader, experience everywhere and whatnot. Now, the question is that we are talking about Islamic finance quite a number of years, decades and whatnot. Recently, maybe not too recent, but now we are start focusing on Islamic social finance. What is it? New thing? Is it something that is, something that is new rather than what we have been discussing on Islamic finance? So maybe Datuk can give your thought on this.
Thank you very much, Dr. Rosni, my colleagues, panelists, distinguished audience. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Welcome back to the second session of the 2-day event. It is interesting to be asked along that line why we have a sudden interest and concern about Islamic social finance. There are many theories in the market floating around. One theory would say that Islamic banking and finance has matured, so we need to diversify into something which is soft, which is social finance, not hard science, but soft science, which is more of humanity, community development, and what have you. The second theory would say, seeing the entire world has moved from capitalist banking into SDGs banking, if you like, where the entire world has come together. Surprisingly, I mean, we thought the world is collapsed already, the world is so bad, is so evil, but the world leaders have come together to endorse on the SDG 2017. So for me, we still have some hope with the world that the world is still positive, going into the right direction. So in line or in sync with the SDG, that we need to refocus our intention. The third theory, very much the world at large is having the conflict between the extreme capitalism and the caring society, or if you like, the caring capitalism. So for me as a person, I believe in capitalism very much, but in a more of caring capitalism, because we need the capital, we need the wealth, we need the resources to develop the country, the people, the institution. So it's a clash between the caring and the extreme capitalism. So these are the 3 or 4 theories in the market why Islamic social finance has become one of the agenda, if not the agenda, of many conferences of the world. And the fourth is about the technology advancement, because in the past, to be practical, I tend to subscribe to this theory. Banks cannot afford to do social finance because social finance is always about retail customers, and the amount to be given out is only small amount, 10,000, 5,000, not more than 100,000. But the salaries of the bankers are huge. There's a mismatch between the cost and the income to the bank, and they cannot charge excessively, And in fact, if they were to charge normal rate, still the amount to be dispersed is not that big because we are talking about underprivileged, not to mention B40 and the rest. So from the cost and income ratio perspective, does not jive well. It would be a mistake for any Islamic bank to focus on social finance the last 5 to 10 years or before that. But nowadays, with the advancement of technology, where we have the open architecture, mobile technology, where we can put aside the human, we can bring in the system, or the robo CFO, the robo chief risk officer, the robo asset liability management, so we can reduce the cost significantly. According to big data research, up to 60% of the cost can be reduced by having the smart technology. That makes sense for Islamic banks of the world to now divert their attention to focus on the B40. Because in the past, we cannot blame Islamic bank for that matter. Somehow, we tend to blame Islamic bank because for ignoring this element of segment. That's why the cooperative, the microcredit, they are more capable to do that because the cost of managing a bank is not that huge in terms of the cooperative compared to the bank. Bank nowadays got the compliance risk, very costly, IT compliant, not to mention know your customer, the this and that. So it's not easy to operate as a bank. In Malaysia, somehow we have heard about the news of issuing 5 licenses for the digital bank in Malaysia, 4 conventional, 1 Islamic. This could be the way forward as well. But I mean, as a person in the industry, I'm quite disappointed with the white paper for these 5 licenses. If you read through line by line the white paper for the licenses, this bank in the future can only build up their asset up to 2 billion ringgit Malaysia only, which is very small. Again, the sentiment to protect the commercial bank is still strong in Malaysia, still capitalist from that perspective. I thought these 5 licenses, when we have the new bank coming to Malaysia, they can go unlimited, at least 10 billion. But 2 billion is only the crowdfunding kind of level. But to limit it to 2 billion asset under management, for me, with due respect, it's a kind of backward step because we wanted to democratize financing to the B40 and the underserved. We need to open up because people cannot make profit if you kept to 2 billion worth of banking asset. Not to, I mean, to complicate the matter further, in the last few weeks, they have revised the white paper by putting the capital adequacy ratio in the whole setup, CAR ratio. That will make this new bank as a bank, commercial bank, not as a community-based bank, if you like. So these are the few things I wanted to put the very high level from the structural point of view. In my speech just now, I tried to appeal to everyone, don't look into the end product to distribute wealth. Easy to do. Zakat, wakaf, you need to be focused on the whole value chain prior to that, which is the issue of the bank structure, the cost, the communication, the technology, and the SOP in place. Only then we can talk about Islamic social finance, and my hope that we shouldn't be limiting ourselves to zakat, wakaf, and even to Islamic banks and finance. We have to be open. We need to create new creature altogether, new animal altogether to make it happen. I will stop at that juncture. Hopefully,
Dato',
yeah.
because you also in your keynote also talking about that we should be doing it differently.
Yes.
So are you saying that the way how we start Islamic finance was wrong, or what?
No,
Because
I think,
now you are talking about more caring.
Yeah.
Previously, are you saying that we don't care?
No,
What?
I think what I'm saying, we are care for the shareholders. What I'm trying to say, this is a segment of commercial segment where we need dedicated shareholders, where we need dedicated bankers to look into build up the economy. In my speech, I was saying people tend to look, I'm religious if I pay zakat. I'm religious if I pay wakaf. We have that kind of secular Islamic teaching. We are good when we pay zakat. We are good when we pay wakaf. This is wrong. You are good when you create employment. This is a new mindset. So the bank are being set up to create that. Stock market, you need trust, mutual fund. So we need to move away from that mentality. This is the whole thesis. Banks are needed to facilitate called financial intermediary, not for B40, not for the underserved, because they have the risk and credit. They have the function to deliver. You cannot be asking a footballer, Muhammad Salah, for example, to play rugby. Can you do that? You can't. So you have to put the right ball at the right, pitch, if you like, moving forward.
I don't know who is Muhammad Salah anyhow. Okay. Prof. Ashraf, okay. Prof. Ashraf is the CEO for ISRA Consultancy. And we know that ISRA Consultancy is very active in terms of giving the consultancies everywhere in the world, countries and whatnot. So maybe what we call it, ask Prof. Ashraf is that, based on your experience, okay, consultancy works in countries and whatnot. Have you, whenever you make a proposal, recommendation for countries, for example, are you focusing on the establishment of Islamic finance, just like what we are doing just now? Or are you also taking into consideration of B40, social finance and whatnot? And then is it possible for them to incorporate? It means that another perspective is that when you incorporate B40 or Islamic social finance, means that they're going to do better than what our Malaysian experience? Prof.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Madam Chairperson, Prof. Rusni, Datuk Daud, Cik Azlan and Datuk Paduka, and my dear brothers and sisters. It is always feel extremely good to be back in IIUM.
Alhamdulillah.
I've been walking around here for 20 years before I decided to go somewhere else, but it is always feel good to be here in IIUM again. How many rounds do we have? One or two?
I'm thinking about one round first, and then afterward we give Q&A.
Okay.
And then afterward I'll come back to you.
Because, I'll try to make it short. Before I answer your question, maybe to extend a bit what Dr. Daud was saying about Islamic finance and social finance. When we talk about Islamic finance, normally what comes to our mind are Islamic financial institutions, Islamic banks. Of course, they are there, but they have their own mandate. So this is what Salah is playing rugby kind of thing is coming into picture. For that matter, I think we have Islamic finance institution which is profit-oriented, like Islamic banks. And we have financing but non-profit-oriented, like Sadaqah and Zakat. And we have, it can be profit-oriented, it can be business-oriented but without profit-oriented, going to shareholders. It can be a very big factory, but without shareholders. When you have shareholders, you are going to distribute the income of the business to the shareholders. But this factory without shareholders, this is what we call wakaf. Wakaf institution. Yeah? When you talk about wakaf, it is not only mosque. It can be anything that generate income. It can be a big factory, billion worth of factory. But we structure it without shareholders. It is a wakaf endowment so that anything generated from the factory will go to the beneficiaries. Yeah? So this is another slot that we have that in fake already, but to operationalize that, I think we need to revive. And then we have kind of hybrid, like profit-oriented, but still within certain mandate. Being in Tabung Haji, I can say that Tabung Haji is a kind of hybrid, where if you are the holder of account in Tabung Haji, we change the contract into wakalah. We ask from you permission, and number one, to deduct whenever we have any income, profit, we are going to deduct three things from you. And number one, the actual cost of managing the fund. And we put the, for good governance, it shouldn't go beyond 1% of the total asset under management. And number two, we are asking from you permission to take some of the profit to subsidize the hujjaj, the pilgrims. So when you have your money in tabung haji, actually every year, part of the profit going to Mecca every year. May Allah reward all of you. And number 3, of course, we are going to pay zakat on your behalf. Meaning that these are the only 3 mandates that we have. Otherwise, all will go to the deposit holders. What I'm trying to say is that we have quite a number of proposals for scholarship of 10 million, 20 million. When it comes to the board, as a responsible board of directors, we can't do that. It is not our money. You can see, I just want to relate it to the mandate. It is not our money. How can we, the mandate only to deduct those 3 things. If we want to do, we can have another mandate. But without that mandate, we cannot arbitrarily, using our decision, to put 50 million for scholarship. Whereas the mandate is that for us to generate income as much as possible to, at the end of the day, to give back as dividend to all the account holders. So you can see, the constraint, but the nice thing is that if we can manage to talk to each other and create a win-win situation, that will be workable to everybody. Yeah. So since we have only one round of this, I have 2 examples. Number 1, I think this is a global kind of effort that we are having with IDB, creating the cash wakaf sukuk, meaning that this is to join the dot between, why sukuk? Because sukuk will bring trust between people. And then with this sukuk, when we raise money, it will go to a project, as I mentioned, without any shareholders. So from the very beginning, the project is owned by wakaf. But during the period of the project, there are two model. It can be a model where you will have a normal income. Based on the cash flow, the project will bring income. The normal investors will come in and they will get their capital and also their the coupon. Yeah. So Co-op, KWSP, whoever, the banks, the investors, they will come in. As normal investors, that will be a win scenario for them. So they can come, they get, but after the maturity, of course, you remember that this project does not belong to any shareholders. That project will be a wakaf project forever. So if you have a solar farm that is structured based on this, of course, for the first 5 or 7 years of the financing sukuk period, of course, very least profit will go to beneficiaries. But after 7 years, when the investors got their capital and profit, they are happy, they are out from the project will be there for another 20 years at least for solar farm project. So any income generated from the project will go to the beneficiaries, the underprivileged. That is number 1. Number 2, we are now working on the B40 in particular to have a protection for takaful when they for their health protection and also for their income protection. Sometime when you are a rubber tapper, you cannot go because you are sick. You will lose your income. When you are a pesawah, you are pesawah apa dia bahasa Arab, bahasa Inggeris? Farmer. Farmer sama. Kita ada bahasa kita sendiri yang pesawah. When you grow the paddies, the rice, yeah, and you cannot go and do your work, it will be, nobody will do that, and you do not have income to pay others to do that, because once you are not doing that, it is a seasonal kind of thing. You will be gone for that season. So the challenge is that how to collect the contribution from the B40s. Can zakat pay on their behalf? If zakat is paying on their behalf and the money is going into the risk fund, that will be considered as payment of zakat for that year, or we still want to tag that the money is not yet distributed to the beneficiaries? Because of course, for takaful, can only be, distributed upon claim. So there are a lot of things that I really agree with Datuk. I mean, from even fake perspective, it should be a dynamic kind of thing that we really need to crack our head to think about that. Thank
Are you
very much.
confident that this project is something that is practical? Because you shared with us on IDP, I would say that is example of international level, and the takaful is domestic level. Are you positive?
Inshallah.
I mean, that is it positive?
For takaful, it is a kind of arrangement with a takaful company. They, from their own initiative, they want to do that. It is not merely an academic exercise. Hopefully, we hope that it will work. Inshallah. They even put their seed money in the fund.
Okay, so this is an example of how the TO, the financial service provider, which been perceived by many that are very much commercially driven, but they are now participating in helping the B40 and whatnot.
It is a win-win for them, because for them, they are operators and they get fees for managing the fund. Only that this fund is created, innovatively to get money coming in so that they can manage. They will get their own fees. But because of this kind of innovation, the B40 also will get the benefit from it.
Okay, thank you very much, Prof. Ashraf. Now, kita ada orang muda, insyaAllah. Okay, so... all of us here are very young, right? None of us are old, insyaAllah. Okay, and that's why we are here. Because our heart is full of motivation. We want to serve the ummah. And then that makes all of us young, insyaAllah. Okay, and this is young at heart and young at age as well. Okay, Encik Azlan, Ustaz Azlan. Okay, I know Ustaz Azlan when he was as a banker, right? So, and then suddenly I met him today, not as a banker, but I would say as a philanthropist, okay, being the founding CEO for ARBA. So, well, I would like to ask, that Evie, you can share what is ARBA, what you are doing. And then I would also like to ask you, what makes you leave banking and then now basically joining ARBA, I would say a philanthropist. Are you saying that you are not happy with banking and then, you feel more satisfying? And then how you connect between the two? Okay?
All
yes,
right.
Stas.
Thank you so much, Prof. Assalamualaikum, everybody. First of all, I feel like sitting in a Hard Talk BBC right now. My name is Azlan Shah. I studied in Sharia Economy and Islamic Finance in Jordan. When I graduated, I promised to myself I won't work for a bank. I came back to Malaysia. The first resume I sent was to TV Al Hijrah. Okay. Has no connection to the bank. I have some critical comments and opinion about banks, which I believe banks make rich richer and poor poorer. But somehow, I was the first among my batch to get a job in a bank. So, sometimes you are young, radical, but when you need money, you got that. So actually, I entered bank. I really wanted to understand from within. And actually, it started to shape my more mature understanding of how banking works. So I used to buy this idea of banks kind of only favor the rich. Only the rich can enjoy better rates, and the poor are like very difficult to be a bankable and whatnot. But after understanding all the structure, how banks work, when I was in a bank from 2011 to 2018. I was given opportunity to sit in all division in Sharia department, review and compliance. I went through across the states to the banks, branches, look how things are being done on daily basis. And then I was in research and training, and then advisory and secretariat. So I kind of have that exposure, but I still feel something is disconnected in me. So politely saying. So I know great things like Sharia committee meeting, I enjoyed so much. That's the only moment that I feel like I want to stay. Looking at, not all, few discussing, which I think every bank has this scenario where few just will conquer and agree to all after a long discussion. But this multidisciplinary approach, I really loved it. I mean, accounting, economy, and Sharia, and the dynamic of the discussion. But after some years, I kind of feel like we are moving towards majority tawarruk arrangement. So when I was a trainer, I trained multiple layers of staff and also multi-religious and ethnic. So I used to get a lot of critical questions, which also hits me. Like I find it very difficult to convince myself first before to convince them that this is really something Islamic per se. But I'm still, I'm not criticizing. I understand that it's growing. It takes a lot of thing. And in 2016, I decided to take an unpaid leave to really take a break for a while. Actually, I resigned, but the bank called me, like, say, don't resign, please. You need to save Islamic finance, all this drama. And then, so I took unpaid leave, and then I intentionally changed the entire my studies course. I took a different course altogether just to take a break. And I involved in a research under UNICEF called Child Marriage in Malaysia. So I read over 2,000 court cases and I interviewed, and then I realized that I started to listen to a lot of Dr. Dawood's Facebook Live, like just now. So I started to understand there is a wealth creation area, there is a wealth distribution area. Don't confuse, don't expect things from different field. So I kind of, okay, now I kind of understand a little bit. And then I feel like at the personal level, my heart is more towards the area of philanthropy, which I bring together all the good things I learned in bank. The data, the ROI, the approach, the governance, the best practice. So when I joined Arba Foundation, that is what we are doing. So at first we decided to choose which area that we must involve like maximum. So we read a few reports from World Bank, from UNICEF that suggest the return on investment on the 18 years and below phase is 1 to 17. I mean, 1 million you spend, you will earn 17 million in return. So all the kinds of database. So now we have two projects going on. One is breastfeeding project for poor mothers, where we studied the research done by UNICEF, suggested that 22% of children in Malaysia are stunted, among the highest in the region. So we dealt, so normally what we'll do, we kind of impose certain solution. So we don't believe in imposing any solution. We go down and we understand what is actually culturally relevant. That is what we really want to champion, to do or to initiate an initiative that culturally relevant, because we learn from many examples from different countries. They impose certain solution, it tends to fail because it doesn't fit the people that. So there is a hierarchy there. There is people with money, I mean donor, philanthropies, and beneficiaries. So we want to change the model to triangle, where we sit on the same platform, we really understand each other. So donor side, they know what's actually happening in reality. So when we talk, we get to know that many babies born in this B40s community are not given proper milk. They are given condensed milk since birth, and we tend to think that normally the mother should be able to breastfeed. And then we started to learn that, oh no, it's not something that easy to do. They need support, they need environment. So we designed a project actually to connect mothers with peer counselors, which will support them to breastfeed 6 months exclusively, which is suggested by many research, even done in India, in Brazil, that saves hundreds of thousands of babies from child mortality. So we want to implement that. We are working on that, but we also want to embrace the change of era. This is the data and tech era. So we rely highly on tech, on developing a portal. So every mother's, their data are collected in a portal, and we collaborate with the university because we want to do it in a research approach. So we can study, we measure the impact, we report the impact, and we pivot. I mean, we fix and change whatever needed to be changed in a very quick manner. I mean, like we don't spend too much time doing something that is not working. So now we are looking into second project, which we get to know, sadly, 51% and more of children in PPR, low-cost flats in Klang Valley, are not attending preschools. They are not getting any pre-school development or early childhood development programs, which makes them easily drop out during their secondary or primary or secondary, and then they continue the cycle of poverty. So we are working with UKM now. So we believe in data. We understand first what is already there, and then we work with researchers. This is the importance of collaboration, because we don't have the expertise of doing research, of understanding all these heavy terminologies and whatnot. So we approach that. So they are part of the program. So we are looking forward. Arba actually taken from the name of Abdurrahman bin Auf, because this is a figure that is super wealthy. He knows how to generate wealth from zero, and he is also a super generous donor. He's a super philanthropy. It's narrated that not a single home in Medina never tasted the benefit of his wealth. So we really want to be that. So actually Arba Foundation is under one roof with Arba Travel. Arba Travel is, before was even now, yeah, I know COVID-19 has a very difficult hit on us, but they get 500 most outstanding entrepreneurs, many awards from Forbes and whatnot. So we want Arba Travel to really set a stage as a good entrepreneur, and also we want to transfer the expertise to philanthropy area. So when we do projects, we really work with digital marketer, we really work with filmmaker, and we really have teams that really able to do great things. For example, that guy, Hadi there, he's a filmmaker, graduated from Russia. But don't worry, he's not a CIA or anything, he's just making movies. Yeah. So we want to make the philanthropy as a brand that we take it as a lifestyle. For example, we really look up to Charity Water. If you ever heard Charity Water, the fastest growing non-profit in the world, is highly tech-based. They can pin where they dig the water source in any part of Africa, and the donor will able to track in real time where their money is spent. And we also look up to Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation in how they really choose a very strategic intervention that actually not only impacting that certain area, but changing the course of how the country works. So that kind of, that's a dream that we are working on. We are still young, but yeah.
How do Islamic finance, that industry can come in helping, for example?
Yeah, first they have to make a lot more money. Yeah. But in a proper, I really love the idea that value-based intermediation. It's not about halal, but it's also tayyiban. When we invest, but it should be something not disrupting the planet, the environment, which is very good. So that, I think they need really to grow, but they also need to have maybe more schemes for like microfinancing, because we really meet people, like even yesterday evening I was at a home. That guy was illiterate, he can read or write, and his wife is about to give birth in a day or two right now, but they are really living in a small room, dirty, and have like very dangerous animals there. So the baby will be living there. So when I asked, they don't have bank accounts, they don't really have all this access. So first, I really love the bank to be able to give, and I attended one closed roundtable discussion with UNICEF and Islamic Bank's representative, which informed us that there is hundreds of millions of untapped zakat non-Sharia compliance fund readily available in the banks.
Okay, so bankers, Arba is one of the foundation that you can think of in terms of distribution of zakat. Tainted income?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
We cleanse it for you.
Okay, so it's a new, I would say this is a new dimension that people are not talking about, when we are, for example, having a session with Islamic bankers, Islamic finance practitioners. So I believe that this is a session today that is an open, we open a different perspective on how then we can connect the dots between Islamic finance that people are talking about making people rich, and then how the philanthropy, okay? So how the connection should be done. Okay, now we move to Datin Paduka, Cik Asma Ibrahim, okay? Datin Paduka is CEO for Yayasan Kebajikan Negara, yeah? and very, I would say, vast experience in terms of particularly 28 years experience in environmental management, specializing in the area of air pollution, solid waste, waste management, and so on. But now, okay, Datin is doing some. Oh, sorry, Datuk Paduka, sorry. Minta maaf. Okay. Okay. Datin Paduka. Moderator is confused. Okay. But make sure the audience are not confused. I believe that. Okay. And then Datin now is leading Yayasan Kebajikan Negara. And then I believe that many of us are not aware of this, I would say, organization. Maybe Datin can share what these yayasan are doing, and then how do basically your involvement in terms of B40, and then to alleviate, the living of all people, I would say, particularly in Malaysian context.
Okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Madam Moderator, distinguished panelists, ladies and gentlemen. Alhamdulillah, first and foremost, I would like to thank the organizer for giving me this opportunity to introduce the organization that I'm representing, and also to share with you about the work that we are doing. Before that, maybe in order not to make the moderator confused about the Datin, or I guess, let me just give a short explanation. Okay, Datin Paduka is correct, because although the award that I received from Sultan of Selangor is Datuk Paduka Mahkota Selangor, but for ladies, the gelaran yang digunakan is Datin Paduka. So I always have to explain this, because people will be wondering who is the Datuk that I'm carrying the title on Datin, So no worry, it is my title. My husband is Tuan Haji Zairul, so it's no other Datuk, okay? All right. I think here I'm like an outlier here, because all we are talking here all with the finance people, and I know very little about finance. As mentioned by the moderator, actually I'm trained as chemical engineer, and I work in the area of environment for 28 years, and I continue to work on environmental management till today. It's already 31 years. But I also work in the charity and welfare area. So I only talk in these two areas, environmental management and welfare, and also on women's issues. So I don't touch anything on finance. But today I'm being put with all the finance people, so I feel like I'm in the situation. I will not try to be Salah playing rugby, as mentioned by Datuk. Okay, at least I know who is Salah. I know by name. I just know that he's a football player. Okay. Okay, let me talk about YKN. Actually, YKN, ataupun in English is called National Welfare Foundation Malaysia, is a charitable fund organization administered by Board of Trustees under the purview of Minister in charge of welfare. That is currently, we have Minister of Women, Family and Community Development. That is the Minister in charge. So we just got a new chairman announced yesterday, okay? So YKN was incorporated on the 5th December 1981 based on Honorable Prime Minister's approval letter under the Trustees Ordinance Incorporation Act 1952. So we have been around for 39 years. That is since June 18, 1981. Unfortunately, not many people knows about the existence of YKN, because somehow it was closely linked to the ministers mostly. I mean, most ministers knows. It's only lately in the past 1 year, 1.5 years that I think more people start to know about our existence. Okay. What is our main function? We are supposed to complement the work done by the government in improving the community and quality of life of the community based on human capital modalities. So what we do, we have three main flagship programs. One is called Anjung Singgah. Anjung Singgah is a temporary shelter for homeless. We run 5 centers throughout the country. We have one in Kuala Lumpur, one in Ipoh, one in Georgetown, one in Johor Bahru, and one in Kuching. And on top of that, we also run and manage PTG KL, that is Pusat Transit Gelandangan KL, that is opposite to Hospital HKL. So the Anjung Singgah is a government project under Ministry of Women, and the PTG KL is under Kementerian Wilayah, the Federal Territory Ministry. What do we do there? It is an social intervention center where the homeless can come and get help there. We do facilitate all kind of assistance. We do connect them to Zakat or other bodies that can assist them. We also they can come on volunteer basis to check in there, and after doing the health screening and so on, so we can have them there for maximum 3 months. They must be Malaysian, because we don't take non-Malaysian, non-citizen. They must be free of drugs. We don't take hardcore drug addicts. But in PTGKL, we do take those that are still under recovery, they are still under methadone and so on. But for Anjung Singgah, no, we don't. And then they must be free from mental problem, because we cannot handle those with mental problems. We just don't have the capacity. So for 3 months, what do we do? First, after we have give them the medical screening, and then we give them counseling, we give them motivation talk, we give them some skills, and we also do job matching for them. Basically, we try to identify what are their needs. First, of course, we have to understand why they become homeless. People become homeless for so many reasons. Some by choice, some by coincidence. They thought that they can get good jobs in KL and they end up on the street. There are those that are under bankruptcy who also become homeless. So all kind of peoples that we see there. So after going through this process, we do the job matching, and once they were able to get a job, so we help them to find a proper shelter. If they are single, we have the next step of intervention where we have 20 units of flats given to us by DBKL to manage, where we can put 4 of them in a house, and they only pay rental 1 ringgit per day. They can stay there for 1 year. So then people ask, what happened after 1 year? So within that 1 year, they still have to go through our intervention programs. When we have talks, we have self-esteem building programs and so on, they're supposed to attend. And we hope after 1 year, they will be able to stand on their feet and be integrated back into the society. If they have families, then we will work with all the other agencies that give assistance to help them to establish their own home. And with that, we hope that they can then be integrated back into the society. So statistically, throughout the country, since the operation of our Anjung Singgah, this is cumulative figure, we have actually managed to do job matching for 73% of those that come to our place, which I think the figure is quite good, because this is a very difficult group to work with. You need to change their attitude, you need to process them, you really need to give them back some hope, build their self-esteem. And our principle is that, to work with them and respect their dignity, because today they may be homeless, but the next day, they may be somebody else, which if we don't respect their dignity later on, that will, they are very fragile, and that will make them go back to their original situations. So what happened to the remaining that we cannot do the job matching and so on? Okay, so the rest, some of the homeless that come to us, there nothing much that we can do. So we then, they are what we call non-productive non-productive groups. So we then refer them to the welfare homes if they are old age and so on. So we do refer them. And the rest, the remaining also, we do counseling. And if they would like to go back to their hometown, then we will give them the fare and buy them the ticket and so on to make sure that they go back to their hometown and settle back with their families. Because, people come with so many reasons that they got stuck sometimes. In our 5 centers, we face very different cases. For example, in KL, people here are mostly looking for job. The one in Ipoh, normally they are there at our center because of family problems. Some are being thrown away by the family. So that's where we try to help them to set up their own business, and then until they can stand on their own feet. Basically, our intention is to integrate them back into the society. One with mental problem or hardcore drug addicts. So the hardcore drug addicts, actually, we are also working with some groups that can handle the drugs addicts and trying to rehabilitate them and put them back to some centers. So that is one of our main flagship. Number 2, we have this project called Anjung Kasih. Anjung Kasih is a temporary shelter built at government hospitals to house relatives of patients that are going through for treatment. I find that this is a very good and high impact project, and this is very good if there are corporate people who wants to take up and sponsor this, because this is very sustainable. What we do is that we approach the hospitals, mainly the general hospitals or the main hospitals in the states where they act as referral hospitals. Normally they receive patients from many areas of in their states. They come from far, and when they are accompanying their relatives for treatment, they need a place to stay. So here, the hospitals will find all quarters of nurses or doctors for us to renovate those quarters and house them there. Because if we don't provide proper place for them to sleep, to clean themselves and so on, they will end up sleeping at the hospital's corridor. So you can imagine, talking about doing good just now. So if you can contribute in this kind of project, it is sustainable. What we do is that once we build it, then we hand over to the hospital, then they will take over the management. So we have delivered 12 Anjung Kasih throughout the country, and this year we are working on another 4. It all started with some government grants that we received, and then after we have got the project up, so we now are promoting it to the private sector to sponsor. So we have TMB sponsoring the Serdang Hospital Better Brighter. We have TMB also working on the Melaka Hospital, which is now ready and to hand over the key. We have not officiated it yet. And we have Yayasan Petronas, who are now taking up the Anjung Kasih that we're going to build in Hospital Putrajaya, which will be benefited by the patient in Hospital Putrajaya as well as the Institute Cancer Malaysia. That will cost about 3.4 million, and that is building from groundbreaking. So at the same time, Petronas has also sponsored the Sandakan Hospital. This project has given benefit to, up to now, has given benefit to more than 76,000 people since we work on it. And they can stay there for free. Recently, when I was in Ipoh, in Hospital Sultanah Bainun, Ipoh, we met one patient, one mother who has stayed there for 7 months, for the last 7 months, because she was waiting for her baby to get the respiratory equipment or something like that before she can be discharged. So you can imagine if they need to stay outside, how much will the cost be? So they are allowed to stay then free. So we built it nicely so that it helps with the family bonding, and also it helps in the healing process. And in some occasions where actually the patient needs to go for daily treatment, they did not be admitted, because they don't have to be admitted as a patient in the hospital, and they come from far. For example, Penang Hospital, they are referral hospital for Northern Region. If somebody come from other star, so I mean, takkan dia nak berulang every day, so they can stay there. So by doing that, you are also actually helping the hospitals in reducing the bed taken up unnecessarily, and the cost if they check in as a patient, it will be more than if they were to stay outside and come for the treatment daily. So also this is what I really promote to the private sector to take up, because there are a lot of hospitals who need this kind of project. And recently we got Sunway Group who offered, who gave 1 million for us to work for Hospital Seberang Jaya in Seberang Perai. So that's why I'm talking to all the bankers here that if you have extra money, this is where you can put your money in good use, inshallah. And it's sustainable, and the pahala to be continuous, inshallah. Okay. Oh, sorry, time.
Okay, sorry, Datin. Thank you very much. It's something that is interesting for what we call it, what YKN is doing. Job matching. Any banks taking them so far?
No, not yet. And of course, you know, it depends on the training, the skills training that they have. We have got NGOs. This center, we opened for NGOs to come and do the training. Even the students come and do their work there. Some students, I know some UIA students are also they are hardcore volunteers there who come, and some they just datang gunting rambut je. Gunting rambut is good. Some they conducted English classes, and with these skills they were able to find some job. And then we have hoteliers who are looking for workers. They come and train them how to read the menu, how to take the orders, and then they take them in for work. So these are normally the kind of job that offered. Normally when I talk to corporates, I would say that, yes, of course you give money, we welcome that, but if you can give them opportunity for job, that is very much welcome, because we are looking at empowering them and in a more sustainable manner.
Thank you. That's why I think giving money is very much welcome, definitely. But creating a job, I think that's something that we need to be really, really more sustainable in terms of helping YKN in particular. Now, okay, we have 15 minutes, okay? So I'm going to allow 3 questions maximum. Yes, we have 1. Can I have raise of hand? 2. Anyone else? 3. Okay. I have to cut it, 3 questions, please.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I'm Hafiz from the World Bank. I think I have one question that, because based on the discussion today, I think in Malaysia we have a lot of financial instruments that are available. For instance, if you look at the My Wakaf and then crowdfunding, VBI, a lot of initiative, effort taken by the regulator to promote new instruments. The question is how we want to create awareness for the Islamic social finance institutions to tap for these financial instruments. For instance, if you look at the Indonesia, they also have like a Wakaf link suku issued by the central bank. So this is something that I think we are talking about, like social impact funds. And then even in Malaysia, we have like retail suku ihsan by Khazanah. But the question is how these Islamic social finance institutions to tap for these innovative financial instruments. The second question will be more like the performance measurement framework. What will be the best performance measurement framework for the social finance institution? Because when we're talking about the angel investors, so they're the group of investors who are willing to let go the returns. I think like Dr. Ashraf also mentioned about group of investors talking about they're willing to let go the returns as long as you meet your KPI. That's important to have the clear performance measurement framework. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Hafiz. Will Bank, can we collect the question, please?
Assalamualaikum. I'm Rosaini, PhD candidate in political science. I would like to know the panel's opinion on when Dato' Daud says about the ecosystem of the whole Islamic finance, its inception to the outcome. One of the factors that affects poverty is corruption. And what do you think about the importance of good governance, particularly in the financial institutions or institutions that manage money, particularly for the people, of course the government as well? Secondly, leave it to groups of people in the world. They will have their own priority about what needs to be done with their resources. Would it be better if we have some kind of coordination in prioritizing what are the needs, particularly the people that we are talking about today, the B40? Because I find that, what the private sector is doing or what the government is doing, are they coordinated? Are they really impacting what we want to happen, the reduction in poverty? Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I am Muhammad Imtiaz from Kuliah Economics, a PhD student. I would like to ask, what is the state level Waqaf institution can play a role when they distributing the cash Waqaf benefits to the beneficiaries, rather just giving as a one-time cash allowances or one-time cash benefits? Rather, why can't these state agencies can involve this B40 community in wealth creation activity? Why can't they involve them or empower them in a more entrepreneurially beneficiary, or they involve them in entrepreneur activities? That is my question.
Thank you very much. Okay, so I just, summarize the question. Encik Hafiz, World Bank, talking about, I would say, if I can just simply say that Islamic finance seems to be more elite in a way than that issue. We have a lot of Waqaf and Islamic financial instruments, but how then we connect the dots, I would say, awareness, understanding.
How to bridge the Islamic social finance institution
Okay.
with the innovative finance.
Okay, so as if you are looking about these instruments so like complicated, complex and whatnot, how then it does look, relate to, contribute to directly to Islamic social finance, I would say. Okay, and then about performance measurement. Okay, Rosaini, questions about ecosystem, good governance, coordination. Okay, and then our brother Imtiaz on Waqaf distribution for B40. Okay, so what I'm going to do is that I'm going to go one by one because of the time. For each of the panel to address if it is relevant, and also your final say for our session. Thank you. We start with Dato'.
Thank you very much. I'm here to take only easy questions, so I'll pick up first the most easy one. I think if I can touch on performance measurement, it was a bit difficult in the past to measure effectively every single dollar or ringgit coming to the bank, or even coming to Waqaf and Sadaqah and Zakat. But nowadays, this is gone already. No one can say, well, we are not performing, we are performing without putting the report card on the table because the technology. So gone the days of self-proclamation. Government, private, Zakat, Waqaf, Islamic banks must be able to show to the community that they are doing well because of the technology. We did some work for the Zakat Jakarta, about 3 to 4 million beneficiary using the smart data and technology. So we can see the impact of 1 rupiah on the zakat beneficiary, age-wise, education-wise, and we can predict and prescribe what would be the right number to be given, when to give to them. Sometimes time is also important when to give the zakat, very much data-driven. On the corruption and governance, this has become very interesting topic. Again, I have done my own big data on the word governance and corruption. We have scanned the whole entire whatever organization, agencies, media. We can see the pattern of the bandwidth of this topic across agencies. Who talk most, who talk less, and who actually willing to take the challenge of governance. So this is something we have to make it, if you like, available in the market. Meaning to say, we have to GPS the level of corruption. Let's say hospital A, one bed costs about 1 million, which is quite market rate. In some hospital, one bed of hospital costs about 1.5 million, for example. Then you can alarm the potential corruption. So we need to, if I can say, we need to put all the contracts or the performances on the GPS. GPS is a new angel. You're not getting my joke, okay. In US, they were saying, in God we trust, or in God we believe, in data we trust. So
1 minute later.
Last, to wrap up this session, I would like to congratulate the university and also the collaborators for putting this program together, because we are bringing the best of the mind from different perspectives to integrate the knowledge. We need to integrate the knowledge almost on daily basis. No more specialization, no more focus on one niche, or perhaps in my own word, we cannot be obsessed with our knowledge, and we cannot undermine other knowledge. We need to bring them together, and this is something we have to do more and more individually. Thank you very much for your participation. Thank you.
Prof. Ashraf?
Thank you. Maybe a few that I can pick up from the question. Number one from Brother Hafiz from the World Bank. A challenge I can see some our Bank Negara's staff are here. I mean, Bank Indonesia has issued Wakaf Sukuk. So when we are going to issue our Wakaf Sukuk by Bank Negara? Yeah, it can be a real Sukuk with a proper due diligence, so and so forth, but need to be done by properly by, or even the World Bank, maybe. So that's a challenge for everybody here. Number two, I think the coordination mentioned by Sister Rosaini, that is very important. That's why I think when we talk here, some of us maybe the first time we really hear what Yayasan Kebajikan Negara is doing. And it is great. And of course, naturally we want to contribute. But without knowing, how can we contribute? So I think coordination is very important. And it will be more effective if it is done by the government, because government is overseeing everything. So therefore, we need a stable government. We need, I'm not talking politics here. So hopefully, but of course, government are supported by civil servants that are very stable in nature. So hopefully, but of course, without that also we can coordinate among ourselves. But the more effective one is if it is done at the government level, because they can connect all the ministries, so on and so forth. And the zakat, the cash wakaf one, in our model, there are two ways of, because it is still wakaf. So wakaf, as much as possible, we want to preserve the capital and only to use the proceed or the profit. Therefore, there are two ways of, disbursing it. Number one, if you are disbursing it direct to the beneficiaries, it will be on card basis. Qardul Hasan. They want to do anything, you give 1,000, they need to pay back 1,000, of course, without any profit or interest. That is number one. But number two, we are injecting it as capital in projects, as I mentioned. A Wakaf project that will, from the project, will generate further income. So with that, I think the Wakaf element will be preserved. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Prof. Ashraf. Ustaz Azlan.
Maybe a short one. in terms of governance and good governance and best practice, I think that is the future for NGOs and non-profits. They need to put their report card and to report what they produce. I mean, they have to be very particular in every sense they spend and what is the ROI, so that it will create a healthy competition in solving problems. Second is very good for NGOs to have the space to innovate, because government, they can't afford to make mistakes. They will be overthrown. But NGOs, they have this opportunity to try and error many things in the society to find a good solution and then propose as a policy to the policymakers. So that should be celebrated, but must be done with due diligence. And the final one, a very good one, meaning we should move towards creating a sustainable intervention, not just one-off or one-time help, but rather we teach them how to fish. So for example, from Arba's perspective, we want to intervene as early as possible so that this next generation in 20, 30 years, those who have been helped during the early days, so they can have a better productive life later on and help others later on. So first of all, I would, as a conclusion, I would like to thank IIUM, Dr. Daud, Prof. Ashraf, Dr. Engku, all this, Prof. Rusni was our azkar, morning and evening azkar in the banks. We always read their fatwas, we read their papers, and to sit along on the same stage is very humbling and also make me feel anxious. So thank you so much for the opportunity.
Okay, thank you very much, Ustaz Azlan. Last but not least, Datin Paduka.
Okay, thank you. I think whatever I need to say about the governance has been said by Ustaz Nabil Azlan just now. Yes, I concur with you exactly. That's what NGO should be doing. We are also NGO, although it's a bit awkward to say non-governmental organization that is government linked. So I don't know whether the language is problem or whatever, but that is what we are. But one thing I want to mention here is about the donors. You know, what I want to say is that please donate wisely, because donors, when you want to donate, it must be beneficiary driven. You must study and you must do assessment what are the needs of the beneficiary and make sure that whatever you give, it meets the target. Otherwise, it goes to wastage. Since Ramadan is coming, I must say this. Everybody wants to make a lot of ajar during Ramadan, and everybody wants to give. And they thought by feeding people is the best thing to do. And you must know what is happening in KL when they do street feeding. Do you know that every homeless in KL, during Ramadan, they receive 8 to 10 packs of food, and it all goes to wastage. Some of the homeless are sleeping on the gardenia bread. And we were there, and you know, we can see every 10 minutes there are groups who come and give food to the homeless. So what I'm saying is that please give your donation wisely so that it don't go to wastage. Of course, you want the pahala, but it becomes, I don't know whether it becomes a pahala or not, because it creates more problems than the benefit, because it end up with DBKL has got to clean the street. If on the normal days, within 1 hour they can clean, let's say 1 kilometer, but during Ramadan, within 1 hour they can only make a quarter of what they were doing. So please, you must know how to give wisely. And with the support of NGOs, they are transparent, they have good governance, so you have to have some trust that, you know, your donation goes to the right purpose and meet its objective. So the campaign for the street feeding during Ramadan, really we need to really beef up, and that is not the way to find the pahala actually, because so many people are feeding them and it mostly goes to wastage. So please donate wisely. So.
Thank you very much, all the panelists. I believe that today's, I would say, discussion with all the respected esteemed panelists today is an eye-opener to all of us. To some, maybe this is not something new, but I believe that the discussion today, we managed, alhamdulillah, to achieve the objective of this forum. That is for us to have a better understanding on Islamic social finance and B40, understanding in terms of issues and challenges faced by the B40, And it's also a good experience, it's a good knowledge on us on how the philanthropists, the organization, that deal with the issue on B40s, poverty and whatnot. Surprisingly, everyone are doing good, but if you are not doing it good in a correct manner, in a good manner, it may lead to something that is not good. So we are not doing this. I think, Alhamdulillah, thank you very much. A round of applause to all the panelists. Thank you very much, everyone. I hand it over to our MC. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Rusni and all panelists. Ladies and gentlemen, as our gratitude to all panelists, I now would like to invite Associate Professor Dr. Ramzi Rosman, Flagship Project Leader and Director ISFO 2020 to present token of appreciation. First token to yang berbahagia Datuk Dr. Muhammad Daud Bakar, IIUM President. Next, please welcome Professor Dr. Ashraf Muhammad Hashim, CEO ISRA Consultancy, Sdn Bhd. Next, please welcome Mr. Azlan Shah Nabis Khan, CEO Arba Foundation. Last but not least, please welcome yang berbahagia Datin Paduka Cik Asmah Ibrahim, CEO Yayasan Kebajikan Negara. Thank you very much, our moderator and panelists. May take back your seat. Ladies and gentlemen, let's focus on the screen for the video presentation on IIBF specialization courses in Islamic social finance. Ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of our main agenda of the launching ceremony of ISFO 2020 and for the forum just now, but we still have another session, especially for this morning session, which will be held inside the Darul Hikmah Library. All committees, please usher our VIPs and guests to the level 3 of this building and make sure all booths outside this hall need to be visited before we proceed to the library's second entrance. With that note, I end with my duty with wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh.